Hello everyone, welcome back to Podcast on Wheels, episode number 62. As we said on today's episode, please sit back and enjoy the show. So today we today we have barely woken up, probably as you can hear by my lungs waking up. I barely woke up maybe 30 minutes ago, and Jesus Christ. And we're going to be talking about how our speech has changed over the years with our morning coughs, and how we handle the morning specifically. There's not like one way, but typically the way I handle most mornings is
coughing my lungs out.
Yeah, I mainly get up in the morning and I just try to play some best tunes on my phone, grab a drink, and my wife eats some breakfast. It's not like a big morning routine. No. It's literally just get me ready and done. Back then, my mornings used to be more, more medical based. I would have to take all my cancer meds, then I had to get on cancer treatment if it was a cancer day, a chemo day at least, and then I would have to do my bowel program. Obviously, I have a colostomy now, so I don't have to worry about that. So a lot of my morning is now spent with free time.
Yep.
And Donny, how do you? I'm pretty sure he just mainly spends it the same way, but if you have a different routine, you can tell them.
Well, this morning I have a different routine because since we pre-filmed this podcast, I'm getting ready in the morning for my doctor's appointment. That's 4:30 p.m. Today. Oh God, I'm scared.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm praying that doctor comes with me. But this morning I woke up at I think 7:40, got a nice hot shower.
I tried to, but then our brothers have been in there all morning.
Yeah, but I got a nice hot shower, which kind of opened up my lungs a little bit, and I've been way less coffee this morning, and I've been almost up for 2 hours, so I'm definitely more cleared out this morning, apparently, because of the hot shower. I'm in comfy clothes for my doctor's appointment because, I'm not going in, uncomfy clothes.
No.
I want to go in comfy clothes where we'll get poked and prodded today. Hopefully not too many tests, but we'll find out, and we'll see if they schedule a different appointment, and if they do, I'm like, we're taking this a step further. So we'll have to figure that out in the afternoon.
Yep. So, our mornings aren't not as medical as one might think. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they involve more steps. The morning becomes very different when we're sick or when we had a little bit of troubles that day or whatever, really, because every single time we're sick, it involves a lot more care for our lungs since we both have 8% and 2% lungs. That isn't really much thriving over here. And so when we're sick, we have to take a lot of precaution for our lungs and everything else. And even here, I'm not even sick, and I'm still having trouble getting my morning phlegm out. At some points of the day, it gets aggravated, more and more, but mostly morning. Thankfully, this morning before the podcast, I was having some good cough, so that's probably why I'm a little bit more cleared out. But if we'd done this the minute we woke up, and we keep continuing coughing, I noticed that moves the phlegm up more, and we try to cough something out.
I had a couple of good coughs because I think the hot shower or the steam of it apparently loosened up whatever.
Yeah, that can help too.
Is in my lungs in the morning, so I had some good coughs this morning. So
that's probably why we're less coffee at Grandma's.
Probably because we have
sometimes.
Hot showers to open up our lungs more and stuff like that.
We don't have typical showers in the morning simply because our brothers get in there and take 2 baths in a row, hour each. I woke up at 8:34 and it's 9:22 and they're still in there.
Yep.
And they literally got in there the minute I woke up.
Yep, which is 8 o'clock.
I'm not kidding. 8:35.
They've
almost been in there for an hour straight.
Yep.
But thankfully, I don't need a cath or anything, or empty my bag, which is good. So.
Thank God.
But that's not all the topic. We would hate to leave you at a 4-minute episode.
That would suck.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about how our speech has changed over the variation of years of having spinal muscular atrophy, spinal cord injury, ALS, all the goodies.
Not really.
Well, yeah, not really. But we've been having this discussion on how me and Donny's voice almost sounds similar to each other now, way more than it did back then.
Yeah.
If you don't recall, if we want to, we can put a little clip. Maybe I'll just do that. But in our very...
We spent an hour plus editing at 10 o'clock at night because she wanted to put a spinning wheel gif in the podcast.
But it was so hard to find.
And she could never find the part, so she was sitting there on my phone for an hour trying to find that part and all to put a spinning wheel.
Lo and behold, it got put in and we're good.
Yeah.
Donny, but why are you complaining? We spent 2+ hours on the YouTube video. You know?
But that's just watching stuff that I actually want to watch.
YouTube video. Our own editing.
Okay.
And you're right. But it's fine. I just want to make these episodes a little bit better for y'all than what we've been putting out for maybe the past year.
Almost 2 years.
Those episodes would kind of be unplanned. We would tangent a lot. And these we kind of only tangent a bit. But, like, you know, we tend to try and stay on topic the entire episode. Rather than, you know, just going off. And it's fine. We have a podcast. We want to tell you different stories of our lives. We've been aiming to post, like, more educational and, you know, just slightly more... I don't know, more in-depth things in our life that most people wouldn't pick up from our YouTube videos that really only show the lighthearted aspects of our life. So, yes. And one of those drastic things is, you know, speech. You know, speech is very important for both of us. We're both public speakers. We go to SMA conferences. We do podcasts just like this. We post YouTube videos. And sure, writing can be very good for me, you know, to get my point across. But one thing that we both despise equally is a talker, or an AAC device.
Oh, yeah.
In the nicest way possible, I don't like AAC devices simply because it sounds like a robot. It does open up a lot of freedom for a lot of people, and I'm so grateful that it does. I'm grateful to have that technology and equipment, but when you spent so long trying to regain back that function, especially me after my spinal cord injury, 15 months to 16 months, losing it in not even double the time is crushing. It really is. Because, and I'm going to go off maybe on a tiny tangent about my speech and how it has changed over the years. It was the most strongest in 2019 and 2018 when I wasn't paralyzed, but in 2019 June I got a quadriplegic injury from ALS. That was my first time I had ALS. Ready to shoot my shot. So I became a non-spinal cord injury related quadriplegic, and so that affected my lungs. I needed a tracheostomy, but I also had a tracheostomy before I became that quadriplegic because I just had shitty lungs from cystic fibrosis. So I got the tracheostomy and I was doing pretty good. Like, I wouldn't say my speech sounded slurry or anything. I think it just sounded normal, and maybe I might have more coughing fits, but that would be typically, dang, what is my throat doing? Typically,
what is your throat doing?
It was like I kept hiccuping or something.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I would just typically have some coughing fits, but then again, I would be fine. That was until 2021 hit when I got my spinal cord injury in September.
That's so sunny all of a sudden.
So my C3 SCI really affected my voice. I had stayed in a coma from September to May when I had woke up of 2022. And December of 2022, months after May of 2022 when I woke up, I was finally able to get off my ventilator and my diaphragmatic pacemaker that I was on. That hindered my voice actually for an entire plus year, because I was injured in November. I'm gonna stop down. October after September. October, November, December. So I think I was not speaking for 15 entire months. Not speaking, not really moving for 15 months. That is a horrendously long goddamn time. That is a year and 3 months. Long as hell. And thankfully, after December of 2022, I started regaining back my speech and started regaining the tiny functions I had. Not quite, though. I had to wait until February of 2023 to regain my bad boy thumbs. So that was 17 months, no function, no speaking, no nothing. Thankfully, in December 2022, I had when I regained my thumb in February of 2023, I only had my speech for 2 months. Or maybe 3 because it started early December. So, around 3 months of speech when I had regained my other function back that you see today. Not a lot. Not like I can move a limb. Oh my god!
Ew, what the hell?
Oh my god!
Damn it.
My mom. It wouldn't be long when we made these episodes.
Oh my god!
When it fart.
Bye, continue.
Dear God. That's what it's like living with my wife. We're not gonna cut that.
We're not gonna cut that out. We're gonna embarrass you. That's just
I don't
embarrassing
think
for
she
us.
gives a damn.
She's like, no, I'm gonna fart again. Watch it.
Watch me. As you're suffocating my fucking gas.
This is why Ew.
You know how horrendous her farts be smelling? Like,
oh my god. One time,
Donny.
Ew. Oh god. One time Amy farted. She had this weird farting issue for about a week. I think so.
It smelled like straight ass.
No, it smelled like diarrhea. And I generally started
and every single time she would fart.
I generally started the question, Amy, are you okay? Do you have diarrhea or something? She farted in my house.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no.
And the reason why
she farted and she made my house smell like diarrhea for half an hour. I wasn't happy. I was like, oh my god, it smelled like hell.
And the reason why I
mentioned... my fart smell even worse.
And the reason why I mentioned Donny...
Come on.
is because... I don't know when this happened.
They're doing like the baby shower day.
During the baby shower day.
January 25th.
Yeah, January 25th. I was sleeping. I was dead ass asleep. And Donny maybe lets a silent little toot out. And so I'm thinking, it won't kill anybody.
It did.
I wake up to a pungent ass smell beside me.
It smelled so bad.
And Donny seems to be shriveled up in the blankets. All comfy.
Shriveled.
Like his beautiful head down on that pillow. Sydney, did you just let Donny rip that shit near me?
Why is it Sydney's fault? That was my
Well, you had your ass trajected near me. She could have moved you.
How would she know I was about to legitimately fart?
Well, I don't know. And like, good God, I don't know what was wrong with him that day, but it was the worst smelling fucking goddamn.
Yeah, we'll never know the reason behind that.
No, Donny will fart every few months.
It smells like death.
It smells like death.
It does.
At least my wife nowadays will fart.
Don't ever let me fart around you.
Tucker one time farted and we had like a bad smelling trash bag, and I really fucking thought it was a trash bag for a second. So he said,
"Look, that's his fart."
He said, "No, I farted a few minutes ago." What?
That was yesterday.
What the hell? So these people kill me with their farts.
Yep. That's a bad for dog.
I can't fart because I have a colostomy, so it doesn't fucking smell. And when I did fart,
in the bag.
When I actually had butthole function, not in function, it would just slip out. And so it would even smell. I swear to God, I would fart, and everyone would be like,
"Okay, all right." Continuing on with speech instead of fart.
Jesus. Yeah, my wife sprang down this conversation. We're so sorry, everyone. So yeah.
Really cut that out, no?
No. I can't even remember what I was talking about. So, in early February, I had my speech for 3 months, and I had my thumb function. Finally, I have thumb function. And so that was good until late 2023, or hell, even 2024, I started experiencing symptoms of ALS again. My thumb would twitch, I would have arm twitches, my speech had gone down so incredibly fast. Like, I tell you, not as fast as you guys would probably assume, but we done like a podcast either the day I got diagnosed with ALS, I think it was, or the day after. So we done a podcast when I got diagnosed with ALS. And if you hear my voice in that, you really don't hear much slurring, or you really don't hear much. I mean, sure, you probably still hear slurring, and I think, a little bit tired that day. But you would, I don't know, you wouldn't hear it as bad. I mean, I hear it myself. I sound sometimes nasally sometimes, and I have a harder coughing, and I just notice it personally. And I don't know if more people will notice that, but every single time I go back to old videos and I try and look at my speech, I'm like, wow, number one, I sounded 10 times younger than I do now, even though I sound little. But back then I sounded, 10 times littler. But also hear my voice, I didn't have that much slurring, and, every single time I would talk, I wouldn't do that noise, I wouldn't, have a random coughing fit. It was just different back then, and I don't know how to explain it. And I'm pretty sure Donny has probably had a rougher patch of time. Maybe I have, essentially, because of, how long and, the reason for it. But Donny has had worse speech than me before. But I had 15 months of no speech, 17 months of recovery with barely any speech, and then, that's a long goddamn time. That's over 1 year of no speech. That's horrible. And, especially when it was so, I'm trying to look for the word, but, it was a shocker because, I didn't expect to have another spinal cord injury, not even 3 years later. Maybe three. No, not even 3 years. It would be 2022 June. So, I had a spinal cord injury. I was injured for 15 months by the time I regained my speech. And I was on a ventilator and diaphragmatic pacemaker for 15 months. Had one breathing, maybe gone to 5, or I had gone, thankfully, a lot of breathing up by the time I got to 28% breathing by the time I was able to be removed both off the ventilator and diaphragmatic pacemaker when I regained the ability to breathe on my own. And so I went through that journey, and then in 2024 May, I got diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, again. And so, that presented a lot of challenges because I was way weaker. I was only 8.5% body strength. I was only 10% lung function. So I didn't have a lot to spare, which is what really reduces my timeline of life because of how much weaker I was in the beginning of ALS, not toward the end of ALS, which, I've gone down drastically. I was 8.5% body strength, 3.5% arms, 10% lung function, 5% head. Now I'm 1% head, 2.3% arms, and in this month, I'm going to be 2.2% arms, but I won't be changing head strength. So, technically, I'm 3.3 right now, but will be 3.2 in June. So, my entire body, the body you're looking at right now, doesn't even compare to my one arm in the beginning of ALS. And that, to me, is absolutely goddamn terrifying. Because... And to be honest and truthful, I would mimic Donny's strength back then, and that is something I still regret to this very day. I think it gave me simply what I deserved. And people can say no, and you're just it's sad that you have this. Of course it's sad that I have this. It's sad that Donny has it. But I would mimic his strength. When Donny was going through the worst of the worst during his spinal muscular atrophy point or dip, his speech was severely weak. I'm not going to undoubtedly say that it was strong. It was severely weak. And it was at that time where my voice was starting to get stronger, and I wasn't really experiencing issues as much. But in one night, I suddenly got so weak, I started talking like this.
But oh my God, so much.
I go back to, I don't even want to watch that fucking video.
No.
It's so cringy, and I hate how I did that to Donny. Good God, dude. I couldn't just let it
manifest or something?
Let him grieve about the loss of his speech. He didn't lose his speech, but he lost a shit ton of it.
I was alright speech back then.
No, you were bad. And so, at least in my eyes, you were bad.
Okay.
And that sounds mean, but he really was. In my opinion, he had a horrible speech for how little he was diagnosed. And so, I admittedly made fun of him for that speech. And, I would, I don't know, mimic it in such a way that I didn't exactly sound like him, but an impersonation of him, but with a little bit of my voice. And I remember when, the creepy thing is, when we were going back on that video with Donny, this video was over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that I've changed my ways since that video. And
heading on to 3 years.
Yeah, heading on to 3. And I'm not happy that it's in the past, but I'm also grateful that it's in the past and that I've changed my ways, you know? If that makes sense. So, Donny, you know, when he looked on that video, he's like, hey, like, you've never sounded like this before, proving the fact that he had never heard me like that in a day in his damn life. Besides when I was spinal cord injury, but I couldn't talk. So that was the first time he had heard my speech significantly change. And he was like, okay, that's a little weird, but he didn't really think anything of it. Until years later, we go back on that video and we're looking like, damn, like, I really impersonated that dude. And he's like, dude, he immediately noticed that I had never sounded like that in a day of my life. Now when he goes on videos of mine, he doesn't even question my voice, because this is what my voice has always sounded like for a good year now, I think. I mean, not exactly like this, but is in the range of slurry and getting weaker range for 1 year.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, my speech has changed drastically over the years. Over the almost 4 years, I've had my spinal cord injury, quadriplegic, and then 6 years that I've been having my non-related. So yeah, it's gotten more slurrier. I've had more difficulty swallowing. I believe today is my wrist surgery, so yay.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, I'm assuming it's hard to really say just how much our voice changed, because all we can really say, it's got more slurry. But you know, a video, literally, we have literally a video timeline on our channel. You go back to videos even 1 year ago and you hear a vast, significant difference from me and Donny's voice. And then you go back even further. We almost have 2 years worth of content on there. 2 years that we have a video timeline of our voices. And we almost sound, scarily enough to me, almost non-fucking slurry.
Yeah.
When I spoke in that video, in the first video we done, I advise you don't watch it, but if you want to do it for medical purposes,
don't do it.
You can. It's very cringy and awful. So, yeah. When I go back on that video, I just see constant clear. I don't hear and baby mini coughs and, you know, like the horrible coughs I have now. Like, back then I used to be able to do a strong cough on my vent, and I can still do that one, but when my vent does it. Like our vent will just breathe in and we'll do a strong exhale. And so, yeah, I don't know, it's very strange looking back on those videos and knowing that was me way before ALS, because that was in September of 2023, and I got diagnosed in May of 2020. No, that was that in September 2024 or September 2023?
The first video we ever aired?
Yeah.
September 2023.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, September 2023. That was my voice, and now it's this. I'm not mad at my voice necessarily. I'm glad that I have my voice still. But in August, I might be losing it, or in early months of 2026. So, look out for podcasts for a talker.
God.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to do as many of these as possible. And sorry I took up a little quarter of the damn first portion of it, but Donny, you can speak about it, and if you want to end it here, you can.
It's fine. My speech rundown won't be too long anyway. Throughout 2018 until 2022, my speech was perfectly fine. I had an L4, L5 complete spinal cord injury because of spinal stenosis that eventually gave me a C1, C2 complete quadriplegic injury. But my speech is perfectly fine. No slurring, no like weird coughing, no nothing like that. Until 2022, when I was diagnosed with SMA, and it basically kind of at the first starting, my speech wasn't too affected. It was mainly either my lungs or the rest of my body parts dwindling down to nothingness. And my speech was alright, and it was going a tad bit slurry, and people could kind of hear it, and I could kind of notice it. But in 2023, when I was attached to a ventilator to my tracheostomy because of my breathing, and
it's really running down through this day.
Yeah, and my lung function was going down. My speech began to either get more quieter and more slurrier over time. And people are definitely starting to notice this, and I was definitely also starting to notice this, that my speech was even more slurry than it was in 2022, and it kept taking a toll, where it would mainly sound kind of normal until it would start very, very slurring all the time, almost every single sentence I spoke in November of 2023, when my lungs and my speech was taking a toll for the worst. Also, I was catching pneumonia at the time and sicknesses that my body was failing to recover from. That was also tiring out my body, and that's why my speech was also getting worse throughout those months. And since November of 2023, it's almost been at the same exact state where it was slurring every single sentence I spoke and every single word I spoke. It was very rarely... Sorry. And it was very rarely non-slurry. It was always slurry. It was always, messing up. It was always quiet or whatever. In a sense, since November of 2023.
That's another bit of fun that I'll get out.
Yeah, I know. But my speech is always
funny, so I started laughing about it. I was like, hee hee.
No. But my speech was entirely kind of too slurry and weird and stuff like that, and it was always like that through 2024 and throughout 2025. But I think over the course of time, if you hear my speech about a year ago and you hear that it was much quieter or much high pitched and much more worse sounding, it's because I was going through cancer treatment. I still am. But I was also having symptoms and sicknesses that I wasn't recovering from. And when I am sick, I do sound worse than I originally am. And I was just going through fatigue and tiredness. And my speech was also worse back then and stuff like that. So the reason why I think, in my opinion, it sounds a little bit better nowadays is because I'm learning how to take breaks adequately and see what tone and range of voice I need to go in to make my voice project more. Than it originally is, and I do let other people speak sometimes, or they just talk a lot. So that way I can give my jaw a rest and don't speak a lot, because if I don't speak for a couple hours or I speak all day, then my voice is at a much weaker standpoint. And
I notice when we speak in one direction, we get really, really, really tired and weak, and we don't sound as projectily as strong.
Yeah. But with short breaks and everything, my speech is adequately good for a 2% lung function, and I feel like that my speech is the strongest thing.
Yeah, I know. It's really strong.
Yeah, because my speech is the strongest thing about me. That I think, because it's got stronger over time, because my body is slowly relying on nothing, because I'm 0% body strength, and I have been for half a year. Since December 11th, my body has completely hit zero function, and my lung function is 2, and it's going to go down to 1 maybe shortly. So my body is now just relying solely on my jaw instead of my wrist twitching or me moving my thumb more.
And I notice, weirdly enough, I know I'm probably saying this again, but even when we talk for a long duration, which we're almost in.
I'm running out of time.
I know. Even when we talk for a long time, I notice that even our voice begins to sound a little bit hoarse at the end of the day if we're speaking so much. Continue.
Okay. But no, now that back then my body was solely relying on my body parts, like twitching of the wrist, moving of the thumb, and moving of my head and stuff like that. It had so much more areas of strength to dwindle down and tire out. And now that my body isn't relying on that anymore, and it's just relying on my jaw, I feel like I can power all my strength through my jaw to make my voice sound a little stronger nowadays. So I believe that in the 2 to 3 years I've been dealing with my speech, and over a year and a half of actual bad slurring of every sentence, I feel like my speech is stronger nowadays.
Yeah,
that's my speech update. We're running out of time.
Yeah, okay, so we want to thank you all so much for watching this podcast episode. This is truly what our morning looks like, basically, and how we sound. So thank you all so much for watching this podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.